Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your Wednesday maths lesson. So following on from yesterday's lesson about angles, quick quiz. Who can remember the 3 angles that we talked about yesterday? That's right, right angle, which I will turn around. So right angle. Okay, doesn't have to be in that orientation. Obtuse angle. Well done, remembering that that is bigger. And then the acute angle, well done. So we've got the little acute angle that's smaller than the right angle. Right, I'm going to talk you through your starter activity today because you've not done one of these before, and it's nothing hard at all. It's just set out in a different way to what you're used to. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and like that. I'm going to go onto here, and it's actually called a flashback 4. Okay, so it's come from White Rose, and it's just like a 5 a day. It's just shown in a different way. So hopefully that should be nice and clear. If I go up a little bit bigger, that might help. There you go. So you're going to get 4 questions. I'm doing it again with my finger. 4 questions on the screen. Okay, and it's going to ask you to answer those 4 questions. You can print this off if you want to and stick it into your home learning book, or you could just in your home learning book write FB4, so flashback 4, sorry you can't see that, flashback 4, you can do question 1 and your answer, question 2 on the same line and your answer, question 3 and your answer, question 4 and your answer, and then the times tables. So the first one is just asking you to write the number shown in words and digits. So that's asking you if it was 343 to write the actual number in digits, 343. I don't know if you can see that there. Or to write it in words. So writing 300 and 43. So we always put a hyphen between. Now that's not that answer, but I'm not that kind. I'm not giving that one to you. Okay, the next one is asking you to look at how much liquid's in the beaker. So you need to have a look at the line and just read it off. Next one's asking you to calculate. So we look at the symbol, which is the add sign. So you need to add those 2 together. If you can't quite manage that in your head, you could always do it using a column method that you revised last week. And then the final one, that divided by 32 divided by 8, it's remembering to use this sign. So we're looking to divide, so all it's asking you to do is 32 divided by 8. Now you can do that by using those known facts that I've spoken to you about before. So for example, I'm not going to give you the answer again, but if you knew that 6 times 4 was 24, remember you also know that 4 times 6 is 24. And we also know that we can reverse it to do the division, the inverse. So we could do 24 divided by 6 equals 4, and 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So can you use something you already know about 32 and 8 to work out what that answer would be? You could even write down all 4 number sentences with the answers if you wanted to. Right, you might want to pause that now and then answer those questions and the 3 multiplications that are up here. And then when you switch me back on, I will be telling you the answers. I'm just going to have a little pause. Right, so question 1, the answer is we've got 200s, 4 tens, and 5 ones. So what does that make? Exactly, 245. Okay, so you're going to be writing that as 200 100 and 45. Remembering the hyphen. The liquid in the beaker, if you take a closer look, let's just zoom in a little bit here. You can see that there's 700 millilitres in the beaker. 400 add 350 is 750, and 32 divided by 8 using our inverses. So 8 times 4, so the answer would be 4. Right then, moving swiftly on. Oh, I've just pulled the thing down at the top, so I can't do it. We are going to be looking at, and I don't know why it says geography at the top when it opens, but for some reason it does. So we're looking at comparing and ordering angles. So I've already mentioned to you before you did your starter to the lesson about the angles that we learnt yesterday, the right angle, the obtuse angle, and the acute angle. We've already learnt about those three. So now we're going to take that a little bit further, and you're going to learn about one more angle as well. So how could I prove it then? Looking at my screen, which of these are acute? Prove it. Remember the good old post-it notes or the piece of paper that I was showing you yesterday? We can use that to prove. Remember the technique? Put it up into the corner of the angle, hold it against the line, and if you can't see that other line that forms the angle because it's hiding behind the paper, that makes it an acute angle. If you put it on and you can into the corner and the one line goes down, if you can see the other line, that makes it an obtuse angle because it's bigger. But if it sits perfectly on my piece of paper, like that one does, it's sitting at 90 degrees to each other. They are a right angle. So you can use that to help you decide on the sizes. So we're going to be looking at ordering angles today. And that means just like when we're asking you to order numbers, it means doing something with them that puts them from either the smallest to the biggest or the largest, or the largest to the smallest. So we're going to order the angles. Now, for the purposes of this, we need to remember that our right angle, however we choose to draw it, is 90 degrees. And we write degrees using that little circle up next to the 90. It's worth noting, as it shows you on the screen, that an acute angle is going to be less than 90 degrees. Okay? And an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. All right, so these are my greater than. Remember the crocodiles? Greater than and less than signs. Now, another angle that we're going to talk about, this one is bigger than 90. So it's going to go from, it could go for all of you, 90.1. I know we haven't done decimals, all the way up to 180 degrees. All right, so it's never going to be bigger than 180. This is called, so the next one, I'm going to bring it a bit closer. This is called a straight angle. Now, it might look like I have just drawn a straight line, but this angle here, or if I was to draw it this way around, this angle this side or that side, same as, it's 180 degrees. Now, if I drew an imaginary line down there, or an imaginary line across there, can you think why that might be 180 degrees? Use your knowledge of doubles. That's right, it is two right angles if you look at it, and two lots of 90 make 180. Well done, those of you who got that right. So I'm going to use this knowledge today to help me order angles. So if you look at my screen share, you can see that my ordering line, this horizontal line, is asking you to do the smallest at this end and the largest at this end. Okay. Now, you could use the document if your parents have printed it off for you. This one that I'm showing you on the screen that says angle cards. If you've printed these off and cut them up, you can then just put the 6 angles in order of their size, starting with the smallest and working your way up to the largest. Now, I'm not asking you to measure these angles. That's something you don't need to be able to do. So you're going to do it by sight. So you really need to look at this bit, the angle as it's marked out. Okay. Use your square, your right angle if you can, if you need that help. Now, go back to here. So you need to order them. So have a go at doing that. And pause this whilst you're doing it. Right. Okay, let's have a look then. So have you ordered them from the smallest to the largest? So if I go back onto this screen that says angle cards, you can see that this one here, the middle top row, is our smallest. So the one that looks a bit like that is our smallest one. Then our next one, the next size, is the one that looks a bit like that. Now they're both still acute angles. Then we're moving on to our right angle. That would have been the next one to put. Then the top right is our next one. That's an obtuse one, but it's only just bigger than a right angle. Then you want the bottom right, which looks a bit like that one. And then the bottom middle. And that's how you should have ordered those ones for me. Right. So sometimes, like I did at the top, we're going to use those compare signs. So if you remember that this compare sign here means that what's on this side is bigger than what's on this side. If you drew it the other way around, what is on this side is bigger than what's on this side. All right. So that's what you've got to remember to do this one with. So you can see there are some examples on the home teaching document. You can even use it in this way to compare a set of 3 angles. Right, we will come back to that. So your activity for today, if you look at the worksheet, again, it's in those 2 columns. Now, you only need to do the one side of it. So I would, if you've printed this off, cut out your question around the black box. My computer's starting to play it. Around the black box, I'm just going to dock it onto that stool and see if that helps. It might go funny for a minute. Hopefully it'll stay working. So cut out around your okay. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try and pause the recording for a moment. Right, sorry about that. I'm going to try and share my screen again. So today's work, looking at this again. So circles, I will be looking for you to start with this first box here. And I want you to cut it out and I want you to answer those questions. You can answer them on the sheet and stick it in your book. If you can't print it out, just number the questions and do them in your book. It's fine. You can draw the angles. So question 1, you can draw the angles from smallest to largest in order. And then you can try and draw this shape. So there's no stopping you from doing that in your book. Then you move on to the next question. And then you finish off with this one. Now, if you are in hexagons, I would expect you to get all 3 boxes worth of questions done. Squares and circles, I'd expect you to get the first one done and try the second box. Squares, box 1 and 2. You might need a little bit of help with box 2, and then pentagons, boxes 1 and 2, and then push yourselves to try that box 3. All right, so that is your work for today. If you finish that and you fancy doing a little bit more, because it shouldn't take you too long if you're doing it on there are some reasoning and problem solving questions. Now, I know both classes, you have done these type of questions in class. So if you have a look, if it's got a red star in the bottom corner, they are the easier ones. Then if you move on and it's a blue star, that's what you should be working at completing. And then if you're really clever today, you've got these ones which are a little bit harder. All right. But remember, if you're problem solving, you are going to have to show some examples. So if I went back to here, which of these shapes contains the smallest angle? You need to try and explain which one you think and why. So I think shape A has the smallest angles because, I think shape B has the smallest angles because, and just explain. You only need to choose one side to do. You don't need to do both. They're different questions, but with the same kind of thing that you need to do. 5B, I have 3 angles. One angle is acute, one is a right angle, and the other is 170 degrees. I think that the right angle is the smallest angle. Is Sol correct? Explain your answer. So you need to say what you know. So if you know that a right angle is 90 degrees, you need to use that in a sentence. And then 6A, if you join together the end points of the matching lines below, do they make 4 angles in order from largest to smallest? Be sure to compare the smallest side of each angle. So if you join them, so you've got to envisage it. So what it's saying is, if you, let me do it on a piece of paper. So if you looked at number 1, which pointed like that, if I joined the other blue bit to number 1, so I coloured in the circle and I followed the line in the same way, I would be adding that line to it. Now, is the angle I've made there? Okay, you have to have a look at it. Then you do the same for number 2. Join the 2 together, and number 3, and then you need to order them 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4, 1, whichever they're in to make smallest to largest. All right. So there are some angle games on Education City. So, well, I say some, there's one called Rectangles. So if the end of today you wanted to go on to that, because we're doing some symmetry tomorrow, then you could go on and just have a go at seeing. I'm going to stop sharing this because you're just seeing that screen. If you want to go on to Education City, follow the link through the school website, log on, Year 4, activities, geometry, or maths, activities, geometry, and then it's called Rectangles, and you can have a play on that game. All right, well, good luck with it all, and I'm sure I will pop up in another maths video. All right, bye-bye.